Hi, Pre-K. Me and Edward are here. Say hi, Edward. Hi, Pre-K. Okay, I'm going to put Edward down. Now today, I'm going to make a video for you guys, and we're going to cook something. I know you guys love cooking so much. So today, we're going to make some banana muffins. But before we do anything with cooking, the first thing we have to do, what do we have to do? We have to wash our hands. Did you see I was just holding my kitty Edward? Now my hands are so dirty. And even if you're not holding your cats at home, you still need to wash your hands before we start. So I'm going to come on over to the sink. So I'm going to remind you, how do we all wash our hands? First, we're going to turn on the water. We need some warm water. Next, we need some soap. See my soap? Now, I'm going to turn off the water while I scrub my hands, because remember, we need to scrub our hands for 20 seconds. Now, last video, what song did I sing when I scrubbed my hands? Do you remember? Yes, it was the happy birthday song. So today we're going to do the happy birthday song, but last time I did it in English. So today I think we should do it. Let's do it in Arabic. Ready? I'm going to do it in Arabic. Sana helwa ya gamil. Sana helwa ya gamil. See, I'm scrubbing the insides of my fingers. Sana helwa to my hands. Happy birthday to my hands. Sana helwa ya gamil. Alright, now after I've scrubbed them, now I'm going to get all the soap off. You got to wash it really good. See me getting all the soap off? Got to get all the different parts. Get under your fingernails. Now I'm going to use the back of my hand to turn off the water. I'm going to take some paper towel. I'm going to dry my hands. And then we're going to move on to the next part. So for the next part, we have to preheat the oven. And so it's really important when we're using the oven that you're getting help from your parents or an older sibling or someone who's safe to be using the oven with you. Because remember, the oven, it gets really, really hot. So if we're baking something in the oven, we need to always make sure that we have an adult who's there to help us. So I'm going to preheat my oven. That means before we bake anything, I'm going to turn the oven on so it heats up. So I'm going to preheat my oven to 400 degrees. Come watch me. So ready? 400, that number is 400. See, 400. And then I'm going to press start. So now my oven is preheating. Now while my oven is preheating, I'm going to make sure I take out all of the ingredients I'm going to need. Okay? We need to have everything ready because we don't want to keep going back into the cupboards. So I'm going to need eggs. I'm going to need butter, 1 stick of butter. I'm going to need brown sugar, the good stuff. You see how it's nice and brown. I'm going to need vanilla. I'm going to need some bananas. Now look at these bananas. Do you want to eat these bananas? What I love about making banana bread and banana muffins is it's a way that we can use bananas that have already gotten brown. Because brown bananas like this, we don't want to eat them anymore, but they make really good banana bread or banana muffins because the banana flavor is so strong. If you don't have any bananas in your house that are brown, you can use fresh bananas for this recipe. It's no problem. But I like to use the brown bananas because 1, it lets me use them up so I don't have to throw them in the garbage and waste them, and 2, it tastes a lot better. And then our dry ingredients are over here. You're going to need flour. You're going to need salt. This is salt. I keep my salt in a little cup like this. You're going to need baking powder. And you're going to need baking soda. The next part, I'm going to measure all of my dry ingredients first. I don't want to have to measure these later. We're going to use them later, but we're going to measure them first. When I measure my dry ingredients, I'm going to use a medium-sized bowl because the large bowl is what we're going to put these in later. So a medium-sized bowl is all you really need, something about this size. The first thing I'm going to measure is the flour. The flour, we need 1.5 cups of flour. So first, I have my 1 cup. You see how it says 1 on there? And look, I have my 1 cup. So I'm going to scoop that flour. Now to make sure that it's exactly 1 cup, I'm going to use a knife. You see this knife? This is called leveling it off. There's 1 cup. And then I need a 1/2 cup. So the 1/2 cup is this one. It's 1 with a dash and a 2. 1 dash 2. That's 1/2. And that means it's half of a whole cup. So I'm going to do 1/2 cup flour. And the same way, I'm going to level it off just like that. The next thing I need is my baking soda. Baking soda, it looks just like this. It usually comes in an orange box like this. But yours might look different. For baking soda, we need 1 teaspoon. So teaspoon, it looks like this. 1 TSP. Can you guys see that? 1 teaspoon. So my baking soda, get 1 teaspoon. And what's nice about the baking soda box is the box helps me level it off. But just in case, I'm going to do it over the sink. 1 teaspoon. Now next, I'm going to need my baking powder. Baking powder, mine looks like this. Now instead of 1 teaspoon of the baking powder, I'm going to need 1/2 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to go to my teaspoons and find the one that says 1-2. See that? 1-2. So I need 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking powder. Now when I take the baking powder out, it also has something that helps me level it, just like that. 1/2 of a teaspoon. And then the last dry ingredient I need is my salt. So I need 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to use the same one I used for the baking powder. I'm going to get my salt. I'm going to level it off. And then I'm going to put 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt in here. And I'll just use a teaspoon. We can just mix that around. We want to mix those dry ingredients around. So, now that I have all my dry ingredients in that bowl, I'm going to just set this aside for later, so we're going to come back to those. The next part is the eggs. We're going to need 2 eggs. How many eggs? 1, 2. 2 eggs. Now, you might need help from an adult to crack the eggs, okay? Because we want to make sure none of these shells gets in there. Because if we leave the shells in, then when you're eating your muffin, you're going to get an eggshell, and that's yucky. We don't like that. So, you might need help from an adult, but watch how I do it. Come a little closer. So I'm going to crack an egg like this. And then I open it up. 1 egg. Crack 2. Open it up. 2 eggs. Now, if you crack your eggs and you get some shells in there, you can use your finger to get it out, because remember, we already washed our hands, okay? You might need an adult to help you for that. But make sure that you're washing your hands throughout the process as you're using it. Now, I just touch eggs, so I'm going to wash my hands again. But before I wash my hands, I'm going to beat those eggs. So, watch. I'm going to take a fork, and I'm going to mix those eggs up. We want the yellow part and the white part to mix up. And it's going to look just like this. Now, since I just touched eggs, I'm going to wash my hands again, and I'll be right back. Now, this part is extra, extra fun. Since I just washed my hands again, since I touched the eggs, I'm going to be able to use my hands on these squishy, squishy bananas. So, with our bananas, this part you don't have to use your hands for, but I know you guys, and I know you guys really like squishing things with your hands, so I think it's much better if you use your hands for this. So we're going to open up our bananas, and with these brown bananas, they're much easier to peel than those yellow bananas we have at school. So look at me peeling my brown banana, and let it go into my big bowl. Remember, we're doing this in the big bowl because this is the bowl that everything's going to go in at the end. There's 1 banana, here's 2. Again, you can use yellow bananas for these, but I really like using the brown ones because they taste so much richer in our banana bread. There's 2 bananas and 3 bananas. It's a little yucky when you peel the bananas like this. So squishy. Now here's the fun part. Here's where we get to squish the bananas up with our hands. If you really don't want to squish them with your hands, you could use a fork for this. But I'm going to use my hands because I know you guys like using your hands. Squishy bananas. Look at that. Squish up those bananas. And when you're done squishing up those bananas, we want them to kind of look like this. All right, now that I squished up my bananas, I just went and I washed my hands again because, of course, they're really yucky with those bananas. The next part we're gonna do is the butter. We need half a cup of butter. An easy way to know what half a cup of butter is it's 1 stick of butter. You're gonna use the whole stick. Now, when we put the butter in here, we can't have it be this big block of butter. We need to melt it. So, the easiest way to melt it for me is in the microwave. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this butter and I'm gonna cut it up into some smaller pieces and put it in a bowl just like this. So you can use a butter knife, see it's not sharp, and put all this butter in this bowl. Now we want to heat the butter up so it melts, but we don't want it to be too hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my microwave for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to see if there's any parts that are still solid. If they are, then I'm going to mix it around and put it in for another 10 seconds. If it's still not melted, then I'm going to put another 10 seconds, and I'm going to keep doing it until it's melted, because we don't want it to be super, super hot. We just want it to be melted. So I'm going to go put it in my microwave, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I microwaved my butter, and I made it so it melted, but it's not too hot. See, it looks just like this. Now, my bowl, it feels a little bit warm, but it's not hot. If it's hot, and if you see that the butter is bubbling, you're going to want it to sit for a little while. You don't want to put it in here when it's really, really hot. We want it just to be a little bit warm. So, I'm going to take my butter, put it aside, and first, I'm going to measure out my brown sugar. My brown sugar, we need 3/4 cups. So a 1/4 cup is a 1, a dash, and a 4. So we're going to do 3 of those. 1, and that's brown sugar. So we got 1. We got 2. We're adding this in with our bananas. We got 3. In with our bananas. Now with that, we're going to add our other wet ingredients. So I'm going to take that butter, and I'm going to put that in with my bananas and my brown sugar. Now in with my butter, and my bananas, and my brown sugar, I'm going to add some vanilla. See vanilla? So yummy, it tastes so good. Well, it smells so good, it doesn't taste very good on its own. Vanilla, we're going to add 1 teaspoon. See that? 1 TSP. So I'm going to pour the vanilla in, and I'm going to pour it in. If you add a little bit of extra vanilla, it's okay. It'll still taste really good. Now, after that, I'm also going to be adding those eggs we beat. Remember those eggs? Those are going to go in here too. And that's all the wet ingredients. And now is the fun part where we get to mix it. If you want at home, you can use a mixer, you can use a whisk, but I just like to use a regular spoon. Mix it up really good. I want to make sure that the brown sugar, there's no big chunks left, so we got to make sure we break up all the big chunks of the brown sugar. We're going to keep mixing. It's starting to smell yummy. And when you're done mixing your wet ingredients, it should look like this. Now, if you use fresh bananas and not brown bananas like me, yours might not be as brown as mine is, but it should still look pretty much like this. Now, if there's still some chunks of bananas in it, if you look at the bowl, there's still some chunks of bananas in it, that's okay. We really want to make sure the eggs and the butter and the brown sugar are the only parts that doesn't have chunks in there. Chunks of banana, that's just fine. So, we have our wet ingredients, and we have our dry ingredients. Remember, this is the flour, the baking soda, the baking powder, and the salt. So this part is where we mix the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Now, am I going to dump this whole bowl in here all at once? No, that's not a good idea. We got to do it slowly. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to add a little bit to my wet ingredients, and I'm going to mix it in. Now I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm mixing it in. Add a little bit more. Mix it in. All right, and the last little bit. Now we're gonna mix that in too. Try to make sure you don't make too much of a mess, but if you do, you can always clean it up, right? All right, now once you have everything mixed in, it should look like this. Now, at home, if you want, at this point, you can also add in things like maybe you want to add nuts to your muffins, maybe just a little bit of chocolate chips, but just a little bit. We got to keep them healthy. Or you can just keep them plain like I have mine. So it's up to you if you want to add something. But if you do want to add nuts or something to your banana muffins, this is the time that I would add it in the bowl and mix it on up. Now that I've mixed up all of my batter, the next part is we're gonna put them in our baking pans. Now, since I'm making muffins, I'm gonna use a muffin tin like this. This recipe is also good for making banana bread. So normally, when I'm not making it for you guys, I would make banana bread and I would put it in a big pan like this. So if you wanna do that at home, you can if you don't have any muffin tins. Now with the muffin tins, I have these muffin liners, okay? So you put these liners in each part of the muffin tin. Now, if you don't have any liners, that's okay. You don't need to use them. You could also use something like a cooking spray or put some butter on the tins. But since I have these muffin liners, I'm gonna put them in there. I'm gonna put one in every spot. Okay, so now that I have all of my liners in my tin, I'm gonna use a spoon and I'm gonna put the batter in the muffin liners. I'm going to do my best to fill them like a little bit more than halfway full, but if it's not perfect, that's fine. Miss Fine doesn't make muffins a lot. Now I'm using my fingers because I just washed them, okay? But only use your fingers if you just wash them. If some of them are more full than others, that's also okay. We'll just have some muffins that are bigger than the other muffins. All right, so I filled up my whole muffin tin with all of my batter, and now I'm gonna put it in the oven. Now remember, before you open the oven and use the oven, you need to make sure that you have an adult with you so that we're staying safe at home while we're baking. We can only bake if we stay safe. So come on over. I'm opening the oven. I'm putting in the muffins. And when I put in the muffins, I'm gonna lower the temperature on the oven. Before we had it at 400, and now that I just put them in, I'm gonna lower it to 350. So watch how I do it. Whoops. Put it at 350. Now I'm gonna start a timer for 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes. So I'm gonna set a timer right here so you can see the numbers. And start my timer. Now I'm gonna go do something while I wait for my muffins to bake, and when the timer goes off, I'm gonna go and check on them. Now, when you take out your muffins, what you're gonna use is a toothpick, and when you put your toothpick in the middle of the muffin, we wanna make sure that it comes out clean, that there's no batter on it anymore. If it comes out and there's still some batter on your toothpick, then you're gonna wanna put it in for another couple minutes. That's the end of my video, and when my muffins come out, I'm gonna post a picture and show you guys how yummy they are. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys make some muffins at home. I miss you so much.